Hi folks, this is Dave from Backdrop Junction, and in this short video I'd like to take a few minutes to describe the three materials that we print backdrops on to achieve this very high quality image that you see behind me. We have three basic materials that I'll describe in the following sections with a little more detail. The first is our adhesive vinyl, the second is our non-adhesive vinyl, and then the third is our adhesive polypropylene. While each has their own characteristics, each one also features a very good matte finish so that there's no glare under your layout lighting. As you can see, the window behind me has some glare from the lights used in this video. However, the backdrop itself does not have any glare. This is ideal for layout photography and for the general appearance of your layout. Thanks for watching. What I'm going to discuss in this video is our adhesive vinyl. Now, by far this is our most popular product, having sold the most over the last few years. Our adhesive vinyl product is pretty much what it sounds like. It's vinyl with an adhesive on the back. When you get your backdrop and you're ready to install it, you simply pull the adhesive away from the backing protective paper, and then you carefully apply the backdrop to a masonite material is what I suggest, or another hardboard material similar to that that's very smooth. The vinyl itself is fairly thin, which is why you want a very smooth surface behind it. And this also provides the best results when you're overlapping backdrop sections. It eliminates most of the seam so that you've got a good product. A couple things about the adhesive vinyl material. As I mentioned before, it has a matte finish. As you see here, both backdrops are printed on the adhesive vinyl. It is very tear resistant. It's pretty tough stuff. If you stick it to itself, you can peel it back off and you're good to go. A couple other advantages: if you do get a bubble in the backdrop when you're installing it, you can just prick that with a needle or a thumbtack and level it right out. It works pretty well. Additionally, the adhesive vinyl was designed as an outdoor signage material. As such, it's pretty tough. In order to test this material before we brought it to market, we put it on a vehicle magnet and I stuck it on my truck for 6 months to see what would happen. The material lasted very well, the ink did not run, and there was no deformation of the material itself. Now, I don't suggest putting your backdrops on your truck and driving around for 6 months. However, in modeling there are chances of overspray, and I want to show you what happens to the adhesive vinyl in that case. Just some simple water here. So we'll spray it onto the backdrop, get it nice and damp, and again, I don't suggest actually doing this, but if you do, it's not that big of a deal. Just take a paper towel and wipe the backdrop down. As you can see, the ink doesn't run, the backdrop looks just fine. There's still a little bit of a dark spot where it was moist, but as the air dries that up, you're not going to have any problem. To illustrate that, we sprayed this area of the backdrop earlier, about 20 minutes ago, and there's absolutely no difference in color. There's no run in the ink. Everything looks great. To install the adhesive vinyl, we do have two other tutorial videos on the website that I'd suggest you take a look at. It does take a little bit of care, but as long as you have some help and you follow the instructions, it works out pretty well. If you are concerned about the adhesive and the pressure-sensitive adhesive on the back of it, we do also offer a non-adhesive vinyl product, and I'm going to talk about that next. The second material I'd like to discuss is our non-adhesive or regular vinyl. Much like the vinyl, it has the matte finish, the water resistance, and the tear resistance of our adhesive vinyl product. But it doesn't have the pressure-sensitive adhesive on the backing, and thus doesn't have the protective backing. It's not a peel and stick material. Instead, you would still apply this to masonite or a similar surface, but you would use an adhesive spray, double-sided tape, or a vinyl wallpaper paste. This gives you the advantage of having a little bit of time to move it around if you're a little bit nervous about getting it right the first time. One note with the adhesive spray, I would suggest getting an acid-free or photo-safe adhesive spray. That just prevents any discoloration over the life of the backdrop. The next thing we'll discuss is our adhesive polypropylene. Our third and newest product is the adhesive polypropylene, and this backdrop behind me is an example of it. As you can see, it allows us to bring a very high quality print with the same matte finish that we discussed before. The adhesive polypropylene, as it sounds, is very similar to the adhesive vinyl in that it's got a peel and stick backing. You simply peel the backing material away and carefully apply it to your backdrop. Now I recommend applying this the very same way I do the adhesive vinyl, so the installation tutorials for the adhesive vinyl will work quite well with the adhesive polypropylene. This material, like the vinyl, is tear resistant. You can let it stick to itself and pull it back apart, and it's also moisture resistant. Like the vinyl, we put it through a test period. In this case, we mounted it to masonite like you see behind me, and we sprayed it with a hose for a few minutes. We then allowed it to dry in direct sunlight. There was no fading of the ink, there was no running of the ink, and there was no deformation of the material itself. It looked as you see it right now. Now, I don't advise spraying any of your backdrops down with a hose, but if there is an accidental overspray, I just want to show you what happens. So we're going to take this little spot right here and spray it down a little bit. Now you can see that that's a little bit damp, but all you need to do is take a paper towel and wipe it dry. Now, as you can see, upon looking close, there's no actual running in the ink, there's no discoloration or fading, and there's no bubbling or deformation of the material itself. What you do see is a dark area, and all you need to do is let that air dry for a few minutes, and that will go away, and everything will look just fine. So it's been about 15 minutes since I sprayed the backdrop and wiped it clean with a paper towel. At that time, once it had been wiped clean, you noticed a dark spot kind of where the moisture had been. We've allowed it to air dry for about 15 minutes or so, and as you can see, there's no longer any dark spot. The moisture is completely dried away, and the backdrop looks good as new. So those are the three materials that your backdrop can be printed on: the adhesive vinyl, the non-adhesive or regular vinyl, and the adhesive polypropylene. If at any time you have any questions about the backdrop material, the website, or our backdrops in general, please feel free to email me directly at dave@backdropjunction.com, or you can always call 1-800-615-3423. Now, one more thing before you go, I want to mention our replacement policy for the backdrops. As with anything in model railroading or other model building, accidents can and do happen occasionally, whether it's with our adhesive product or with our non-adhesive product. So if within 6 months of your purchase of one of our backdrops, if anything goes wrong with the installation or if the backdrop gets damaged for whatever reason, all you have to do is send us an email with a picture of the damage, and we'll replace that backdrop section at the cost of printing the backdrop instead of full retail, and whatever it costs to ship to you. I'd like to thank you for watching the video today, and again, if you have any questions, 800-615-3423 on the phone, or dave@backdropjunction.com. Thank you.